Arn Vale walked across the wide stone courtyard of the Interstellar Academy, with his head slightly lowered. The way he usually walked when crowds were thick and voices were loud. Students of many different species filled the open space, talking, laughing, and exchanging holo notes. The Academy was famous across the galaxy, a place where young minds from many worlds came to study science, diplomacy, and star navigation. But even in such a great and diverse place, Arn still felt alone. Humans at the Academy were few, and they did not have a strong reputation. Other species were taller, stronger, or more skilled in advanced energy control. Some could see in 6 directions at once. Some could remember entire books after reading them only one time. Compared to them, Arn seemed ordinary. He was the quiet human student who sat in the back of class, took careful notes, and tried not to bother anyone. A group of students from the crystalline Leoran species passed by him. Their bodies glowed faintly like gentle lanterns. One of them said something in a soft voice, but Aaron could still hear the meaning. Why is he even here? Humans are always behind. Arn did not respond. He was used to comments like that. Instead, he kept walking, moving toward the old maintenance area near the edge of the academy grounds. It was a place most students ignored, because there was nothing exciting there, only old training ships, broken hover drones, and a few storage units that had not been opened for many years. But Arn liked it. It was quiet there, peaceful. Nobody bothered him. He passed the last row of active buildings, walked down a narrow path, and reached the old hangar yard. Sunlight slipped through gaps in the metal roof, making bright lines on the dusty ground. The air smelled faintly of old engines and dry leaves. Arn set his backpack down and sat on a crate to eat his lunch. He had only taken a single bite when he heard a soft, strange sound. It was almost like a whimper, but also like a soft growl. Arn looked up, confused. The academy grounds were full of strange machines and rare equipment. But animals were not common. He listened again. The sound came from behind a stack of metal panels leaning against a broken shuttle wing. Arn slowly stood up and took a few careful steps. "Hello?" he called gently, though he felt a little silly talking to the air. "Is someone there?" The sound came again, this time a little louder. He reached the metal panels, crouched down, and looked behind them. What he saw made him freeze entirely. A small creature, no bigger than a large house cat, lay curled on the ground. But it was no ordinary creature. It had small silver scales that shimmered faintly in the sunlight, delicate wings tucked tightly against its body, and eyes like glowing embers. A thin tail wrapped around its legs, and tiny horns curved backward from its head. Arn's breath caught. This was a Draken hatchling, a young dragon from a species known across many star systems. Drakens were noble, powerful, and deeply respected. Some stories said they could fly between stars for hours without any help from machines. Others said they could sense emotions as easily as humans sense temperature. A Draken hatchling in an academy yard was impossible. They lived far from this region. They never traveled alone. And they certainly never approached human settlements. Yet here one was, injured and trembling. Arn felt a mix of fear and compassion. He had never seen a Draken up close. Most students would have run away immediately or called security. But the hatchling looked so small, so scared, and so tired that Arn's fear softened. "It's okay," he whispered, lowering himself slowly to the ground. "I won't hurt you." The hatchling lifted its head weakly. Its eyes glowed brighter for a moment. Arn noticed a long scratch along its wing and a bruise on its side. It must have been hurt somehow, maybe by crashing while flying or being separated from its group. Very slowly, Arn reached into his bag and took out his lunch container. He opened it and pushed a piece of soft bread toward the hatchling, leaving a large space between them so it would not feel threatened. "It's not much," he said softly. "But maybe it will help." The hatchling sniffed the air. After a moment, it crawled forward uncertainty. Its movement was slow and careful, and Arn could see that it was in pain. When it reached the bread, it took a tiny bite with its small but sharp teeth. Arn smiled in relief. Good. Good. You're hungry, right? You can have it. The hatchling ate the rest of the bread piece by piece. Each bite seemed to help it relax a little more. After finishing, it glanced up at Aaron again. This time, its glowing eyes were calm, almost curious. Arn felt his heart warm. See? I'm not dangerous. He reached into his bag again and tore off another piece of food, something soft and easy to chew. He placed it near the hatchling, which ate it even more quickly. Arn waited until it was done before he slowly moved his hand closer. The hatchling watched him carefully, but it did not pull away. When his hand finally touched the edge of its scales, Arn felt a soft warmth beneath the smooth surface. The hatchling made a quiet, gentle sound. It was not a growl or a hiss. It almost sounded like comfort. Arn had never felt so trusted by anyone at the academy. After a minute, he pulled his hand back. I should get help for you, he murmured. But I don't know who would listen. And I don't want you to get taken away or locked up. He looked at the hatchling again. It tilted its head and blinked slowly, almost as if it understood him. Arn sighed softly. Maybe I can help a little more by cleaning that wound. He took a small water bottle and a soft cloth from his bag. He approached carefully, letting the hatchling sniff the air again. When he gently pressed the cloth to the scratch on its wing, the hatchling winced, but it didn't pull away. Arn cleaned around the wound with slow, careful movements, trying not to cause pain. There, he whispered. It's not perfect, but it's cleaner now. The hatchling made a soft rumbling sound, almost like a purr. Arn felt something warm bloom inside his chest. For once, he was not the outcast human struggling to fit in. He was simply a person helping a small creature in need. He sat with the hatchling a little longer, talking softly even though he knew the creature probably didn't understand most of his words. It didn't matter. The moment felt peaceful, but as the sun shifted and the shadows changed angle, Arn knew he had to go or he would be late for his next class. He stood up slowly. I'll come back later, he promised. Try to rest, okay? The hatchling looked at him for a long moment. Then it gave a tiny nod so small that Arn almost thought he imagined it. A soft breeze passed through the old hangar yard as he picked up his backpack. He took one last look at the small dragon, then turned toward the main campus. He had no idea that in only 30 minutes, everything in his life and the entire academy would change. He had no way of knowing that dragons from distant skies were already on their way, all because a lonely human student chose to be kind. Arn walked back toward the main buildings of the Interstellar Academy, unaware that the sky far above him was already beginning to change. Thin clouds drifted apart, as if pushed by invisible hands. A faint vibration trembled through the air so soft that only the most sensitive species noticed it at first. Arn noticed nothing unusual. He moved through the courtyard again, heading to his next class. The other students barely looked at him. As usual, some were busy adjusting their holographic projectors, while others practiced small energy control exercises. The world around him felt normal. But 30 minutes had passed since he fed the Draken hatchling, and the universe was about to stop feeling normal. Inside a large glass classroom, Aaron took his regular seat at the back. Professor Veller, a tall instructor with 4 arms and a calm voice, began speaking about star navigation patterns used by ancient civilizations. Arn liked this subject. It was peaceful. It was something he could understand without worrying about what others thought of him. He opened his notebook and started writing. But before the professor could finish the first explanation, a sudden tremor shook the building. The glass panels shivered. The floor vibrated for a brief second, making several students jump. A few chairs slid an inch across the ground. Professor Veller paused mid-sentence. That was unexpected, he said slowly. Remain seated. It is likely only a test of the Academy stabilizers, but Aaron felt something deeper. He had heard small tremors before, usually from machinery tests or shuttle drills. This tremor felt different. It felt alive. The lights flickered for a moment. Then came the sound. A deep, low hum rolled across the campus like a wave of thunder, but smoother, almost musical. It traveled through the air and echoed against the tall buildings. Students looked at each other nervously. Professor Veller set down his teaching device. "Everyone, stay calm," he said, though his own voice wavered slightly. "I will check the security alert." He tapped the control panel on the wall. A glowing screen opened only to fill instantly with flashing orange symbols. A universal distress notification. "Attention," an automated voice echoed through every speaker in the academy. "Unidentified aerial activity detected. All students and staff remain indoors." A few students gasped. One of the crystalline Leorans whispered, "Is it an attack?" Arn shook his head before he even realized he was speaking. "No. That sound wasn't like machines or weapons." Professor Veller glanced at him. It was rare for Arn to speak in class, so the professor looked somewhat surprised. "What do you think it is, Arn?" he asked. Arn opened his mouth, but before he could reply, another sound filled the sky. A roar. Not a mechanical roar, a living one. The entire class rushed to the windows. Outside, the sky was shifting in color as if light itself were bending. Something huge moved behind the clouds, many things. In fact, wings, massive, shimmering wings. Students stared in disbelief. Arn froze completely. He knew those wings. He had seen a smaller version of them only 30 minutes ago. Outside, alarms rang across the academy. Doors locked automatically. Protective shields rose around the training fields. Staff members shouted instructions as students tried to stay calm. The sky grew brighter as glowing shapes descended in perfect formation. One student whispered, "There are dozens. No, hundreds." Another said, "Are those dragons? Real dragons?" The sky answered them. A line of enormous Draken adults flew down with powerful, graceful movements. Their scales reflected sunlight like polished star metal gold, silver, blue, and deep red. Their wings spread wide, casting giant shadows across the ground. They circled the academy once, twice, then hovered above the courtyard with a mighty flap that sent strong winds rushing toward the buildings. Professor Veller whispered, "Impossible. Drakens never leave their homeland. Never." But Arn's heart was pounding. His legs felt weak. His thoughts became a storm. They're here for the hatchling, right? But how did they find it so fast? A bright beam of golden light shot down from the sky. It wasn't harmful, its glow looked warm, like morning sunlight. A large figure descended through the beam, landing gently in the center of the courtyard. A Draken leader. It was larger than any other, with scales that shimmered between gold and white. Horns curved elegantly from its head. Its wings folded neatly at its sides as it stood tall. Radiating power but not aggression. Every student in the classroom stared at it with wide eyes. Then, the Draken leader lifted its head and spoke in a deep, clear voice that echoed across the campus. "We come seeking the one who showed kindness to our young." Gasps filled the room. Some students looked confused. Others looked terrified. Arn felt as if the world had stopped moving. The voice seemed to vibrate inside his chest. "They're talking about me," Arn whispered softly. No one heard him, but Professor Veller did. His eyes widened. "Aaron, are you saying you?" Before he could finish, another tremor shook the building. This time it wasn't fear. It was footsteps. Powerful ones. The Draken leader began walking toward the main building, the one where Arn's classroom stood. Every step was gentle. Yet the ground still responded with a faint rumble. The other dragons stayed in formation above, watching with glowing eyes. Professor Veller hurried toward the door. "Stay inside. Do not approach the windows." "I will try to." He never finished the sentence. The door slid open on its own. A warm, golden light spilled inside. And standing there, wings folded, was the same Draken hatchling Arn had helped. Its small eyes brightened when it saw him. "Arn Vale," the hatchling said, not with its mouth, but as a soft voice inside his mind. "Come." The entire class froze in shock. Some students stumbled backward. Others stared with their mouths open. Arn felt his legs tremble. "You can speak?" he whispered. The hatchling nodded gently. "Draken hatchlings speak through mind-sharing. You helped me. Now the elders wish to meet you." Professor Veller blinked several times, speechless. Finally, he managed, "Arn, is this true?" Did you help this creature? Arn nodded slowly. It was injured. I only gave it food and cleaned its wound. The classroom filled with stunned silence. Students who usually ignored Arn now stared at him as if seeing him for the first time. Even those who had mocked humans before looked unsure, even guilty. The hatchling stepped aside, giving Aaron a small, respectful bow. The elders thank you. You saved royal blood. Arn's heart nearly stopped. Royal? The hatchling nodded once again. Behind it, the Draken leader waited calmly, its golden eyes warm and focused. Arn swallowed hard. What do I do? Professor Veller touched his shoulder gently. You go, carefully, and with respect. Arn took a deep breath, walked past his classmates, and stepped into the golden light at the doorway. The hatchling walked beside him, keeping its pace small so he would not feel rushed. As he reached the courtyard, the air filled with the gentle sound of massive wings slowing their motion. All the dragons above shifted their attention to him. Not with anger, with respect. The Draken leader lowered its head, a gesture of honor among their kind. Arn felt the entire academy holding its breath. The leader spoke again, voice rumbling like distant thunder but warm like sunlight. Human child, your act of compassion has reached our hearts. Few would approach a wounded Draken. Fewer still would show kindness without hesitation. Arn looked down, unsure how to respond. I only wanted to help. That is why we stand before you, the leader said. A small kindness can shine brighter than any star. The dragons around them let out a soft, harmonious sound, something like a collective breath of approval. Arn felt his cheeks warm. But I'm not special. I'm not even good at anything here. The leader tilted its head. You are wrong. You carry the rare strength that many forget to value, the strength of heart. Quote, the hatchling nuzzled gently against Arn's leg. You protected me. Arn slowly lifted his gaze. For the first time in his life, dozens of powerful beings looked at him with respect instead of doubt. Students and teachers crowded at the windows of every building, watching in shock and awe as the dragons continued to bow their heads. Arn Vale, the quiet human student no one believed in, had become someone extraordinary without realizing it. The Draken leader tapped one wing against the ground. Walk with us, Arn Vale. The elders wish to offer you honor and perhaps a place among us. Arn's breath caught. Him? Among dragons? The world felt too large, too bright, too unreal. But he knew one thing. His life would never be the same again. And this was only the beginning. Arn Vale followed the Draken leader across the courtyard with slow, uncertain steps. The ground still trembled slightly from the dragon's powerful wings above. Students and teachers remained pressed against the academy windows, whispering and staring in disbelief as the quiet human boy walked beside one of the galaxy's most respected species. Arn felt like he was dreaming. Only an hour ago, he had been sitting alone in an empty hangar yard, cleaning a small wound on a lost hatchling. Now, giant dragons circled overhead like living stars, and the Draken elders, the oldest and wisest among them, wanted to meet him. Beside him, the hatchling he had helped walked proudly, its steps light and confident. It glanced at him often, as if making sure he did not feel alone. You are safe, the hatchling said through gentle mind-sharing. No harm will come to you while the elders watch. Arn nodded, though his nervous heart continued to beat too quickly. I believe you. It's just a lot. The hatchling gave a soft chirp of agreement. Ahead, the Draken leader stopped in the center of the courtyard and raised its wings slightly. A shimmer of golden light gathered in the air. Slowly, the light formed into clear shapes, 6 large dragons, older and grander than the ones flying above. Their scales carried soft, glowing patterns like constellations drawn across the night sky. These were the elders. Every dragon bowed its head. Every student watching held their breath. Arn felt small, but strangely calm. The kindness he had given the hatchling returned to him now in gentle waves of respect. The oldest elder stepped forward. Its body was long and graceful, and its eyes shone like quiet moonlight. When it spoke, its voice was soft, yet powerful enough to be heard across the courtyard. We have traveled far to meet the human who cared for one of our young. Such care is rare. even rarer when done without expectation. Arn lowered his gaze out of respect. I didn't expect anything. I only wanted to help, the elder nodded. Which is why your action is important. Compassion without reason is a sign of great inner strength. The students watching from behind the windows looked stunned. Many whispered in confusion. Others looked thoughtful, even ashamed. They had never expected a human, especially Arn, to be praised by legendary beings. The Draken leader stepped closer. Young Arn Vale, our people value courage of the heart. In your world, perhaps humans are not seen as powerful. But to us, strength is measured by kindness and bravery, not by size or natural ability. Arn's throat tightened. He had spent years hearing he was too weak, too slow, too ordinary. Now, dragons, creatures older and stronger than almost any species, saw value in him that others had overlooked. I didn't think anyone would notice, Arn admitted softly. Those who act with pure intention are always seen, the elder replied. Another elder, deep blue like the ocean, stepped forward. We wish to honor you, Arn Vale. If you accept, you may train with us, learn our flight patterns, our star paths, and our code of harmony. Few outside our species are ever taught these things. Arn's heart nearly stopped. The academy had always felt like a place he did not fully belong. The thought of learning from dragons felt unbelievable, terrifying, exciting, and overwhelming all at once. Train, with you, he whispered. The young hatchling nudged his leg gently. You would be welcomed. I will be your guide. Arn looked down at the small creature, remembering the moment he found it curled behind scrap metal, hurt and alone. I would like that, he said. The dragons gave a harmonic sound, soft, warm, like a choir made of wind and light. It washed over Arn and filled him with a gentle glow. The elders lowered their wings and formed a circle around Arn. The leader touched its tail lightly to the ground, creating a symbol of acceptance. The golden elder spoke again. Before training begins, we wish to see your spirit more clearly. Speak. Arn Vale. Why did you help our young one when others might have run or called for guards? Arn swallowed. He wasn't used to speaking in front of anyone, much less a council of dragons. But he answered simply. From his heart. I saw someone hurt, he said quietly. Someone alone. I know what that feels like, and I couldn't walk away. For a moment, the courtyard felt utterly still. The elders looked at each other with understanding. The simple truth often carries the greatest weight, the blue elder said. You acted not because of strength or glory, but because you understood loneliness. Arn nodded, fighting the urge to look down again. The leader turned to the watching students. Let this be a lesson to all who believe humans are weak. Strength comes in many forms. Today, a human has reminded us of what true honor looks like. A few students stepped back, embarrassed. Others looked at Aaron with newfound respect. Even the crystalline Leorans who had mocked him earlier stared at him with wide, uncertain eyes. For the first time, Aaron did not feel invisible. The elders moved to the open field behind the courtyard. Their wings shimmered in unison, creating a soft wind that brushed across Aaron's face. The entire academy followed from a distance, unsure if they should approach but unable to stay away. Your training begins now, Arn Vale, the leader said. Arn blinked. Now? The hatchling laughed softly in his mind. Do not worry. First lessons are simple. The leader stepped aside, revealing a glowing sphere floating above the grass. Inside the sphere, stars appeared, little lights forming patterns and curves. This is a navigation globe, the elder explained. We teach our young to read the sky long before they fly. Understanding the stars is understanding yourself. Arn stepped closer. The sphere hummed quietly. When he touched the surface, the stars inside shifted, forming new patterns. Some moved fast, others slow. It listens to your thoughts, the hatchling said. Show it where you wish to go. Arn hesitated. He wasn't sure where he wished to go. He didn't even know how to begin. So he thought simply of home, a quiet memory of earth, blue oceans, green forests, gentle clouds. The sphere responded instantly, shaping the sky map around Earth's position. It glowed brighter. A few teachers watching whispered in amazement. He's matching with the sphere. Without any training? The elder nodded. Arn has a clear heart. The stars respond to truth. Arn stared at the sphere in awe. He had never felt so connected to something before. The leader smiled gently. Tomorrow, we begin flight training. Arn's eyes widened. Flight? Like, actually flying? With dragons? Not on our backs, the leader said with a soft chuckle. We do not carry riders. But we will teach you how to move with us, how to read our paths in the sky, and how to guide our formations from the ground. Arn felt excitement rise inside him like warm sunlight. For the first time, the future looked bright instead of confusing. The hatchling sat beside him, wings tucked close. You will do well. I believe in you. Arn felt warmth in his chest. Thank you. I won't disappoint you. The hatchling bowed its head. You already did more for me than anyone else. That is enough. As the sun began to set, the dragons prepared to leave for the evening. The elders rose into the air with smooth, powerful motions. Students watched silently as glowing scales disappeared into the clouds. The hatchling remained behind. I will stay with you tonight, it said. The elders wish me to continue learning from you as you learn from us. Arn nodded. I'm glad. He looked up at the sky, still bright from the dragon's presence. For the first time, he felt proud of who he was. Not because he had done something incredible, but because he had done something kind, and that kindness had changed everything. Tomorrow, flight training would begin, and Arn Vale, once a quiet, unseen boy, would walk among dragons. If you want part 41300 words next, just say, part 4 Lyco, or, next part. You said, part 4. 1300 words. Kaleko. Or interesting huna. Kea. Or third-person style. Malek niha. Or simple. Basic English ka. Don't use any violated word. So please avoid any violated content. ChatGPT said, here is part 4, written in simple basic English, in third-person style, safe and clean, and expanded to about 1,300 words. This completes your 4-part story. If you want a full book version, illustrations, or more chapters, just tell me. Morning sunlight washed over the Interstellar Academy as Arn Vale stepped onto the training field with the young Draken hatchling beside him. The ground sparkled with dew, and a cool wind brushed across the grass. Today was the beginning of something new, Arn's first real day of training with the dragons. The hatchling looked brighter than usual. Its scales shimmered gently as it spoke through mind-sharing. You slept well, yes? Arn nodded. Better than I expected. My mind was full of everything that happened yesterday. That is normal, the hatchling replied. Your life changed. Arn smiled softly. It did. Above them, shadows passed over the field as several Draken adults glided through the sky. Their wings were calm and steady, like sails catching perfect wind. Students from the academy gathered at the edges of the field, whispering and pointing. Many of them still found it unbelievable that a human, quiet, ordinary Arn had earned the dragon's respect. A soft, warm breeze signaled the arrival of the Draken leader. It landed gracefully before Arn, folding its wings with elegant precision. Its golden white scales glowed like sunlight reflecting on water. Good morning, Arn Vale, the leader said. Are you ready for your first lesson in flight guidance? Arn took a deep breath. Yes, I'll do my best. The Draken leader nodded approvingly. Your best is all we ask. The leader raised one wing slightly, sending a signal to the other dragons above. They responded by circling lower, preparing to follow instructions. Humans cannot fly as we do, the leader explained gently. But your heart sees patterns clearly. You can learn to read our paths in the sky, to guide our movement, to help us sense danger or imbalance. Arn nodded, listening carefully. The leader created 3 glowing shapes in the air: arrows, arcs, and lines. They represented different flight commands. "Begin with the arc," the leader said. "The arc is balance. The sky listens to balance." It looked at Arn. "Show us." Arn took a step forward. He raised his hand and pictured the arc in his mind, smooth, even, like the path of a calm ripple on a pond. The glowing symbol responded, stretching into a larger, brighter curve. Above, the dragons followed the signal. They flew in a smooth, curving formation, wings gliding almost silently across the morning air. Teachers watching from a distance murmured in awe. "He's guiding them." "Without any training?" another teacher whispered. "He's matching the sphere's accuracy." "No human has ever done that." Arn didn't hear them. His focus was gentle and clear, like a calm stream. When he shifted his hand slightly, the dragons shifted with him. When he stepped forward, they adjusted their height. It felt natural, simple, even. As if he had always been meant to understand the sky. The leader watched with quiet pride. "Very good. Now, try the arrow." Arn nodded, lifting his hand again. The glowing arrow symbol moved. Sharp and straight. The dragons responded instantly, forming a beautiful line that cut through the sky with precision. The students gasped in amazement. Even the crystalline Leorans who once mocked Arn stood silently, their earlier arrogance replaced with respect. Arn's heart swelled not with pride, but with a warm sense of belonging. The hatchling nudged him. "You guide well." Arn smiled. "Thank you." Hours passed. Arn practiced arcs, lines, and circles until he felt the patterns growing familiar. The dragons followed him through every change with trust, responding fluidly to his thoughts and gestures. When the morning session ended, the Draken leader approached him once more. "You have a calm spirit," it said. "Calm spirits steady the sky." Arn's cheeks warmed. "I just try to stay focused. That is what makes you strong." Before Aaron could reply, a loud alarm echoed across the academy grounds. Students and teachers froze. A deep red warning light flashed on every building. The automated voice of the academy spoke urgently. "Emergency alert. Reactor instability detected in the central energy chamber. All individuals evacuate the main grounds immediately." Arn felt the ground vibrate. A low hum filled the air like a machine struggling to stay under control. The Draken leader's expression shifted from calm to sharp concern. "Danger," it said quietly. "The academy's reactor is unstable." Teachers rushed to guide students away. Some students ran, others panicked. The energy chamber was an important part of the academy. It powered training equipment and shield systems. If it failed completely, the explosion could cause serious destruction. The leader looked at the other dragons. "We cannot enter the energy chamber. Our scales interfere with its systems." The blue elder landed nearby, its massive wings stirring the air. "We can protect the outside, but not the inside." Arn felt his heart tighten. "Inside? Someone has to go inside." "Yes," the leader said. "Someone calm. Someone steady." The hatchling looked at Aaron, eyes widening. "This is not your duty." But Aaron was already stepping forward. "I'll go." The adults around him stared in shock. Even the dragons paused. "You?" Professor Veller called from across the courtyard. "Arn, no, it's too dangerous." A student shouted. "Humans can't fix reactors." Arn shook his head. "It's not about strength, it's about focus. I've helped in the repair labs before. And I can stay calm." He looked toward the energy chamber. If someone doesn't go now, the whole building could be damaged. The Draken leader studied him with deep, ancient eyes. "Your heart speaks clearly. You understand fear, but you do not let it rule you." The blue elder lowered its head toward Aaron. "We will guard the structure from the outside. Go, human child. Do what you can." Aaron nodded once, firmly. The hatchling pressed its head against his hand. "Please be careful." "I will," Aaron promised gently. "I'll come back." Then, without waiting another moment, Aaron ran toward the central energy chamber. Inside the chamber, alarms flashed everywhere. The air felt hot and heavy. Streams of bright light flickered irregularly through the reactor lines, showing unstable pulses. The core trembled with growing force. Arn forced himself to breathe deeply. "Stay calm. Think clearly," he whispered. He approached the main control panel, trying to remember what one of the repair technicians once taught him. Stabilize the flow. Reset the secondary lines. Slow the pulse. He touched the control screen. It flickered. "Come on. Work with me." The chamber shuddered, making a few tools fall from shelves. Arn steadied himself and pressed another sequence. The lights dimmed slightly, then surged again. The core was close to overload. Aaron wiped sweat from his forehead. "Okay, try again." He closed his eyes for a moment, imagining the same arc he had guided in the sky earlier. Smooth. Balanced. Calm. He pressed a final combination of controls. The reactor pulsed once, twice, then slowly began to stabilize. The bright lights inside the chamber shifted into steady patterns. The hum softened. The tremors began to fade. Arn let out a shaky breath. "It's working. It's working." He backed away slowly, watching the core settle into safe mode. Then he turned and hurried out of the chamber. Outside, students and teachers stood anxiously in the courtyard. The dragons hovered above, ready to protect if needed. When Aaron stepped out into the sunlight, everyone froze. The Draken leader lowered its wings in relief. The Blue Elder let out a deep, soft sound, something like a warm sigh. Arn smiled tiredly. "It's stable now." A wave of cheers rose across the courtyard. Teachers clapped. Students shouted in amazement. Some even rushed toward him, calling his name with excitement and gratitude. The hatchling bounded across the grass and leaped gently against his chest. "You did it! I knew you could!" Arn laughed softly and hugged the small creature. "I told you I'd come back." The Draken leader stepped forward, towering above them both. "Arn Vale. Today you stood in the place where even dragons could not stand. You faced danger not with strength of body, but with strength of spirit." The Blue Elder added, "We have honored many in our long history, but never have we met a human whose courage shines as brightly as yours." Arn lowered his gaze, humbled. "I only did what I could." "That," the leader said gently, "is why you are worthy." All the dragons bowed their heads to him, every one of them. Students who once ignored him now looked at him with deep respect. Some even looked inspired. On that day, Aaron Vale earned the title the dragons gave him, Friend of the Flame Winds, a title never before given to any species outside their own. Arn, once a quiet and lonely student, had become a symbol of courage and kindness across the academy. He had fed a hatchling, he had gained the loyalty of dragons, and he had saved his school. Arn stood among dragons now, and he was no longer alone.